Alright, my friends, I'm going to do my recaps. I played in the quick tournament today. Today was Saturday, it's technically Sunday now. Basically it was called the Fall Foliage Open. The time control was 60 minutes with 5 second, not increment, but push, which actually might matter. I'll talk about that in a moment. Basically, oops, don't look at that cross table. I elected to play because when I signed up, there actually ended up being 20 people involved. It was almost perfectly split between the open section and the under 1800. And I saw a lot of people that I really like. I think that they're like cool people. Zane, Joseph, the young dude, Uran, who I played 3 times, was there. And actually, like this kid, Henry, was like 14-year-old or whatever, ended up chatting to him for a while. Super, super nice kid. Shays seems like a nice guy. Anyway, the point is, Reese was a nice dude. Anyway, the point is, I normally don't wake up in the morning early, but I have a very weird sleep schedule, mostly as a byproduct of last week, where I didn't sleep for the chess tournament in Hartford, and this week I've kind of suffered for it. Nonetheless, I was awake at 9. The tournament started at 9:30, and I said, you know what? Maybe I can push myself, get on down to the club, play a few games of chess, and I figured I would take a last round bye, and it would be fun. And you know what? I was right. It was fun. I'm not going to reveal spoilers. If you really want to know, you can check the beginning of the video where I revealed the cross table, but we'll just take it one game at a time. Played 3 games, 2 blacks, 1 white, which, by the way, in my spreadsheet I'm going to show off. I don't want to show it yet because I have the results there, but I looked it up. 10 of my last 14 games have been black, and I went from having a slight edge in more white games played that I'm now career. In my classical games, I've had 36 games, and 20 of them are black. Again, it's supposed to be 50-50, but, it's not. So, the only reason I'm slightly sour grapes, and I don't mind playing black, in fact, I feel like I know a lot of black theory very well, but is my performance rating. I'm literally 100 points stronger as white. So, I wonder if that will continue on through, or if it will kind of even up. I do know that obviously white has an advantage, so it should be a little bit higher, but I feel like 100 full points is actually kind of significant. But we'll see what happens. Nonetheless, in round 1, Joseph took a bye. Round 1 makes sense because he was probably sleeping in late. I decided not to. I figured I would take a last round bye so that I could just get out of there. I really didn't want to be at the Boylston Club all day. So I got on down there at 9:15. Taking the tee on over is pretty easy. And the guy who ran it, I'm going to just reveal this real quick, is Zihan Zhang. His rating is 1742. His live rating actually down to 1669. So in my spreadsheet, I entered this rating rather than that one. But nonetheless, he was playing in the under section. I think A, to balance it, but also B, I believe he is these 2 young girls' dad. And he's at the club a lot, on Tuesday nights or whatever. And I think he's always down to, do a side game, which is really cool. So he was the tournament director. My supposition is this tournament was kind of arranged so that he could just get his daughters more chess games. But that's fine. I mean, it worked out. It was pretty nice. I hadn't really talked to him before, but I've seen him. And lo and behold, I drew him as my first round opponent. He strikes out right away with d4, and immediately I obviously, as a d4 player myself, I know a lot of the lines very, very well. Specifically d4, c4. There's more d4, knight c3 lines that I'm starting to learn, but I don't really know as black. Online, I play a little bit of King's Indian, but I'm trying to get everyone now into the English rat. Again, it's a sideline. I'm very comfortable with it. I have a lot more games in the Maroczy defense, which is where they start with e4, and they have the same concepts, which is why I like playing it against both. But Maroczy defense is not quite as good as the English rat. The English rat is actually quite strong. Black neutralizes right away, whereas in the Maroczy defense, that's not the case. So I'm obviously hoping he pushes e4. C4. Either one transposes directly. I mean, one's the English rat, the other one's the Maroczy defense that I know backwards and forwards. But to my horror, he does not. He plays knight f6, which knight f3, is the Tartakower variation. Now, the problem with this is I just don't really know it as well. I've been learning a little bit of ready setups, again, with the idea of transposing into a Queen's Gambit type line where you can avoid some Slav lines, because I don't like playing against the Slav. But anyway, I digress. Again, I banged out the opening pretty quickly. It's an hour, so these are considered quick games rather than classical. I mean, as far as total time, if you compare this to the last week's tournament where I played, the FIDE in Hartford, these games lasted half of the distance from the previous one. The other tournament, if you remember, was basically like 2 hours in each clock with a 30-second increment. This is half that. So you can't waste as much time in the opening. So I really decided I wasn't going to waste any time in the opening. Anyway, when he plays knight f3, I figured I might transpose in some Philidor lines and basically just play knight f6. It is the best line or response. With the thinking maybe I would still get like my strong center set up. I wasn't really sure. By the way, in between games 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, some people were talking about openings and they were making fun of the Philidor defense. And I think that's funny because literally that's exactly what I've been playing online and learning myself to try to widen my black repertoire. I think people oftentimes don't like dry openings, but I like dry openings. I think all chess games can be exciting. And you can win or lose any game, especially at this level. Like, it's not like we're GMs, playing drawish openings. But I like dryish positions because they're more clear cut, and it's more prudent to have a plan. Really aggressive, dynamic positions, there's a lot more flux, a lot more variables and factors, and it's harder for me to get a kind of handle on those games. So that's why I kind of am avoiding that. And I also prefer less open games. I like semi-closed games, so a little bit of stylistic stuff. But I'll play whatever. All right, now my man, and I hope I'm saying his name right, Zihan. And unfortunately, I wasn't able. So I was able to go through both my second and third round game with those opponents. Zihan after the game was like, I've got to be a tournament director. So I was like, okay, whatever. So we didn't actually end up going through this one. So I haven't analyzed this one. In fact, after this game, Zayn and I went and grabbed a coffee. We met Joseph on the street. We had basically the lunch because there's the biggest amount of time between game 1 and game 2. So I had a small sandwich. So I actually didn't even really get a chance to go through this game on my phone. So I don't really know how I did. Let's hope I did well. Anyway, once he gets the d4, c4 set up this way, English Rat's no longer good because he can literally just take, and then if I take, he takes, and lo and behold, I'll just immediately be down a pawn. In fact, in Blitz, I've gotten that position accidentally when I'm just banging moves out. I mean more bullet, not so much Blitz, not so much 5-minute games. I mean 1 minute and 2 minute games. And so a lot of times just muscle memory, I bang those out, and obviously it's always terrible for black. So in a classical game, or at least a quick game, again, these are considered quick classical, I was not going to do that. Nonetheless, I have a little bit of a decision upon me. He's getting the d4, c4 plan. Although Zihan, I wrote him down as 1742, which is technically the highest rated player I've played yet in a classical game. His live rating is a little bit lower, so I think there's a few people I've played that were slightly higher rated. But nonetheless, I really wanted to, show up. And it didn't feel great to immediately not know the move after literally 3 moves. So not the world's greatest feeling, as you can imagine. Nonetheless, I played bishop f5. My thinking was pretty clear-cut. I felt that this was a good move. Okay, it is the book move. We're basically maybe transposing into an Indian defense, I guess. I don't know. Is I need to do everything to take away e4. I just can't, give him a strong center. My bishop is good on this diagonal, and I want to get my pieces out. I also know in a lot of Philidor lines, it looks ugly. It's an anti-positional move of a c5, but especially when they swing their knight, because it looks like you're giving them an outpost on d5. But I have trained that a lot, and it looks ugly, but it's not. Again, I'm definitely more of a how things look kind of player. So it's interesting I'm learning some moves that look bad but are actually good. So the whole idea with my opening is I want to play c5. It looks gross, looks grody, but I'm okay with that. And that's kind of what I'm swinging through. By the way, I didn't like the pin right away because I thought that he could literally just, he can't jump there. But I just didn't think the pin did anything, to be honest. All right, anyway, we're in the old Indian defense. Can't say I know this backwards and forwards, but, so be it. Plays knight c3, which is a very natural developing move. We get the Janowski variation. This is not something I've played nicely on chess.com, when you play a blitz game or bullet and you go over it. And I don't review all my games, obviously. A lot of times in bullet, I'm just trying to get volume. I don't think that I've seen the Janowski show up, so obviously I've played into this. More so as white, though, because I think as white, I've gotten this position plenty of times, and I'm not really sure what the ideas are in this position. So again, just kind of having to rely on natural instincts. I play what I guess is a bad move, knight b to d7. My idea was I wanted to prepare e5 or c5, and I thought my knight here did that. I didn't think playing to c6 did anything because he would be able to play d5 with tempo, and I would just give him the really strong center. I didn't want to do that. My bishop isn't really going anywhere. That's the problem in the position. And I didn't like the g6 lines. Apparently the computer actually prefers just developing the knight to a6 immediately. And I was considering that. You're looking at like some b4 jumps, because with the bishop here, whoops, excuse me. With a bishop here, you're looking for like this cheeky fork, which is something, again, in Blitz, I definitely go for a lot. But I didn't do that here. Played more passively, I guess. Unfortunately, 4 moves in, we're out of book. It's not a good sign when I'm ad-libbing, but, you know, let's go. Let's roll. My opponent wasted no time. Zihan, Zhang, immediately plays knight h4, and I didn't, like, okay, this is the best move according to the computer. He's just immediately being able to trade these pieces. For some reason, like, I just immediately drop back. I did know that there are some lines where you can actually push your bishop up to e4. I dropped it, though, to b6. I didn't think this was bad for me. So, okay, it's an excellent move. That makes me feel good. I figured he would trade, I would trade, and immediately, because I'm clearing the space, I was immediately thinking, as soon as this happens, I was going to go queenside, and I wanted to open up lines for my rook. So I was trying to basically not induce this, because I didn't think this was, like, great, but I thought this was good enough. Anyway, he wasted no time. Hopefully that's decent English. He wasted that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And he just trades the knight for the bish. I think from White's perspective, they think that's like kind of a win. From my perspective, you know, there's always, like, for most chess moves, there's pros and cons. There's very few moves that you do that are like 100% great, unless an opponent blunders or something. And here, yes, I gave up the bishop pair, but I'm getting an active rook, and my king is still going to be safe. I obviously took with the h-pawn, by the way, because the truism, you know, taking towards the middle. I briefly considered f-takes with the idea of being able to push e5, get my bishop out, and then castle, and try to attack along the f-file. But I thought that was too verboten. And also, even though I would maybe have a strong pawn chain, this bishop seemed pretty bad in those lines. So I didn't do it. And apparently I was correct not to do it. All right, I wasted no time. I was already up like 10 minutes in the opening. Zihan was moving kind of slowly. He did get into time trouble this game, by the way. And you all know me. I feel like I use my time in spots where it matters, for the record. So actually, I'm going to say this. I think today, all 3 games, I was very smart with my time usage. And I leaned on the clock, you know, the hour games. The quick format. I think, by the way, because I said I'm never going to play 4 games in a day. It's why I'm always going to take a bye either in the first round or last round. I don't love the hour-long chess because it doesn't feel Blitz-esque. I haven't gotten my head around Rapid for how to spend your time. With the really long time control, you know, like the Tuesday night or, of course, last week's Saturday, it feels great because you can literally just gaze off into space or think about like random variations for a while, and it doesn't matter. Whereas with this, I thought I still was kind of like daydreaming something. Sometimes I do that. I daydream at the board. Especially because I was exhausted. More story about the sleeping stuff, but I'll save that for another video. Anyway, let's get back to the chess. How about that? So anyway, I take with the h-pawn, and now Zihan immediately strikes out e4, and I thought to myself, shit, this is exactly what I wanted to avoid. I'm not attacking this pawn anymore. He's got like the strong center, and I thought to myself, damn, there's no way I can be better here. However, my idea, I respond with the best move, e5, and the reason why is a few-fold. First off, I didn't think he could take. I wasn't sure if he took what I would want to take with. I thought probably the knight, and then immediately I'd be jumping to g4, and I thought I actually really did have pressure down on the king's side. You know, he's delayed his castling. If he pushes, he's giving me outposts for my knights, and I thought, again, I'm jumping to like e4, I'm opening lines, and my king is very safe. And if he ignores, I thought I would take, and I would kind of break up his strong center. So I play e5, and I thought that I actually was fine here. Computer says I'm not. White is just better, but again, at the board you have to understand sort of the confidence, the way things feel. It was fine. Bishop e3 is a mistake. It's interesting because when he played this, the computer does want him to play d5, and I didn't think d5 was great. Because again, I was prepared to answer with either c6 and specifically utilize the c5 square, and I would just play the diamond hands formation. Again, I've gotten this online a fair amount. I've done some Nimzovich defense, which get this kind of pawn structure. And I know it's always like better for white, but I'm very comfortable in it. And I know it's never that bad. It might look scary because they have a little bit more space, but I also just know it's not that bad for black. So there is something to be said for getting pawn structures where you have the ideas and positioning. And here I would basically develop to e7. I would look to kind of throttle my pieces, queenside castle, lock up the board, double the rooks, blah, 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 blah. And it's fine. Like, not that it's special for black, but it's fine. So that was kind of what I was thinking about if he pushes. Nonetheless, he played bishop e3. I don't waste much time. I said that I was going to break up his center. I went pawn takes. Excuse me. And already, I mean, according to the computer, it looks like, well, I haven't quite equalized, but I am up. I've used all of 5 minutes tops. He's used about 15 of the hour, remember. So you don't have a lot of time to kind of waste dilly-dallying opening. Especially because I figured there'd be a big decision later in the game where I'd want to spend like 15 minutes. And that's how I'm trying to spend my time. I'm not blundering in the opening. I'm trying to like do a blunder check for every move, which is like maybe a minute a move at most. And then when like the key decision of the game comes up, I really want to use, I'll really apply myself to the 15 minutes or so. And then kind of go from there. Nonetheless, he takes for the bishop. I assumed if he went queen takes, it would be very bad for him. I thought I'd basically start having a lot of tempo by playing like c5 and sticking with the same plan, basically getting my bishop out, castling, and although this pawn looks weak, I'd have basically a battery running down. And of course, I'd have some moves like going wide with his bishop centralized and trying to just attack again along the king side. All right. Nonetheless, when he takes, I decided to respond with bishop e7. It was the most natural-looking move to me. I don't think he's ever going to trade, but if he trades, I all of a sudden have a super, super bish. I'm actually not planning on castling, but it's like my last minor piece, just getting into the game. The computer likes my plan. And of course, the move I'm really waiting to play is c5. I wanted to do this first and then play c5 with tempo, basically. All right. He plays g3, which is the best move. I thought this was fine for me because, again, my concept is he's going to basically fianchetto. And I thought maybe there are a lot of lines where I could actually blockade the e-pawn, kind of blocking in his bishop. Now, the computer does say it's his best plan, but I thought over the board that it wasn't that great of a plan. But again, shows what I know. You know what I mean? The computer wants me to play c6 here. Excuse me. c6. Interesting. Huh. I didn't consider that. It makes sense. You're kind of blocking off, the future diagonals, kind of giving it to him. But I didn't do that. I played knight b6, and this was based on a miscalculation. That's right. And I'm not surprised it's an inaccuracy. What I calculated is, for some reason, I thought that this stopped him from castling right away, because if he took, then his pawn is under attack. But very quickly, as soon as I moved, and this is the problem when you're taking, 20 seconds per move in the opening, is obviously he has the very simple queen check, and then boom, I would lose the knight. So as soon as I move this, I realized I'm not actually attacking his pawn, but that's why, it was based on a very quick miscalculation, why I went out wide, because I thought I was delaying him, tying his bishop down to defend the pawn. So I get why that's just a bad move. So that was just me trying to act quickly. As soon as I moved that, though, and I realized he ignored me smartly, he plays bishop g2. Makes a lot of sense. He's preparing castling. And because I made that little mess up, I realized that I've got to be a little bit worse here. So, whatever. I'm about to sneeze as well, so apologies in advance. Always feel better once you sneeze. Excuse me. All right. Nonetheless, I played queen d7. I thought it made sense. I'm preparing myself to go either way. I might have some out wide lines. Not now. He's obviously taking them away. But more importantly, I actually am attacking the pawn now, because in the line where if he ignores it, I can actually take, and now he doesn't have this check, because boom, my queen is blocking. Computer likes my plan, so I feel like I'm salvaging. And again, over the board, I thought I was doing fine here. He plays b3, which now, for the record, I can see why it's not like the greatest move. It's fine. I thought that he might have some problems, because my whole idea is to play c5, get his bishop off this line, open up, and then maybe I'd have some like long-term pressure along this exposed diagonal. So I actually was getting a little excited. Not that I thought it was better here, but that my plan came together. So now it's the best time. His bishop is bad here. Again, if he trades, I trade, and he's actually under a lot of pressure. he'd probably have to like move the rook to c1, where it's eyeing this pawn, where it's kind of a bad rook, to be honest. I would then castle, maybe prepare this, maybe prepare this, maybe prepare putting my rook over to the e-file, etc., etc. So I was, again, just looking for simple moves that all seem to kind of make sense, logically speaking. He plays bishop e3, which is the best move, and it's yeah. I felt like all my moves kind of flowed from here. I was trying to play Zen-like and flow. So I play bishop, knight to g4. And in my mind, it was a move that did a few things. Number one, I'm opening the square for my bishop with like a super diagonal. Thought that was important. Number two, he obviously can't push the pawn because then his bishop is hanging. Number three, I wasn't sure if this pawn was hanging or not. I assumed it wasn't, because if I like take, for example, take with the rook, he takes with the rook, I take with the knight, and then he can play f3. I thought my knight was getting trapped. And if I take with the knight first, because my king is blocking my connected rooks, he could actually like move his king up and like basically pin the knight, and I thought that I wouldn't be able to move back. So I didn't really think his pawn was hanging, but I thought that it might have been. You know what I mean? Like it's the kind of line where I thought it was decent. I was always a little bit afraid of castling, by the way, queenside here, because I always saw the idea of like an h4 and then him putting his light square bishop. I've lost blitz games like that because I don't have an e-pawn anymore to just block. So I saw all that. I figured I wasn't going to let that happen. Now it doesn't work because my rook is obviously taking away the h3 square. My simple idea is I assumed if he was going to try to bounce me, bounce, I was going to just take the dark square bishop. He was going to double his pawns. I thought this was a liability in the mid-game, and it gives me a very, very clear development for my dark square bishop, which does become a monster. And I thought, again, I was just better there. I also thought if he ever was going to jump his knight, my knight on b6 is not doing anything anymore. It's taking away all the jumps, the limited action, that I was going to just trade. And I realized I was going to give him a really strong pawn chain with kind of a backwards pawn, but I thought that I'd have a wooden shield on e5 to kind of neutralize that. So again, pros and cons. I still have the open line, the idea to maybe after castling to just double up on the h-file. And again, I thought that I was doing pretty well here. Again, computer doesn't think I'm doing well. It thinks that white is up a pawn, but, whatever, these things in chess. He now tanks for a while. And again, he's used 15 minutes to he uses 10 minutes on this move. And finally he draws back to c1, which is just a bad move for the record. Again, the computer wants him to just double up. Let me just trade here. He would take back with the queen. With the idea of then castling, and he can play against my hanging pawn. And I think that was better. Again, I was always calculating if I could take this. Maybe I would have just castled out of it, I'm not sure. But when he drops back, I now suddenly, my eyes light up, and I think to myself, it's funny, now the computer finally says I am actually better, but this just seemed at this point, this seemed very obvious to me. So I immediately played bishop f6. Again, he's now taken away his rook going over to c1. His only real moves are basically moving the queen over or fianchettoing the bishop. But I saw now that he's backed off of the e3 square, he's giving me a wooden shield. Again, the classic Hikaruism, when you have a locked up bishop in the center of the board, super defended, and it's a strong bishop. Moreover, I'm eyeing down at the f2 square thanks to my knight, which is supported by my queen. These moves, again, felt great to me. So he didn't waste much time. He now plays bishop b2. He's probably thinking at some point maybe he can just move his knight to the side, trade, and then just gun down. I thought if we get the dark square bishops off, then it's going to be pretty easy to hold my pawn, and maybe I can play against his e-pawn. But nonetheless, I wasted no time. I jump into d4. He's given me exactly what I want, and I thought at this position he's under real problems. Now, why is it? Well, I'm threatening, obviously, the f2 pawn. It's under attack. More importantly, I'm threatening this fork between the rook and the queen, which I would think if he doesn't do anything about it, kind of loses him the game. I didn't think he could castle, because I thought I could just win the pawn and basically crash down with the idea, of course, of getting the other pieces behind. And it's funny, castling is his best move, but this looks from a human perspective, yeah, the computer even says, knight takes. It looks terrible. I'm shocked it's not that terrible for white, because castling into that seems insane. So yeah, at this point, I already thought I was like much better. It's funny again if he castles into it, I'm not much better. Maybe I would have wasted a lot of time trying to find the win that's just simply not there. But yeah, we go from here. And I thought that obviously at this point he kind of just screwed up and life was easy. He plays Queen F3, which I really didn't understand. It's a really bad move. And he's a good player who's now playing some bad moves because he's not really threatening down here. Pushing the pawn to like threaten the B pawn isn't working. And he's not really doing anything about defending the F2 pawn because these are two minor pieces. If he trades the queen for it, I'm easily going to win. So I didn't understand. I've been saying that when my opponent makes moves and I don't understand it or I don't see it, it's like a really bad sign for me because like I didn't even consider this move, to be honest. Like I didn't. I thought maybe F3 was going to be played or F4. They like a little bit better. Apparently Queen E2 is pretty good, but yeah, I would have just checked him anyway. Anyway, so this is the first spot where I actually spent some decent amount of time because I was calculating stuff like rook takes here, whether I should go bishop takes to check to prevent him from castling, whether I should just simply go into, over here, knight takes. And I actually thought knight takes could lead into a lot of trouble, where maybe he could sacrifice another pawn, bring his rook down, and actually maybe I'd be the one under some pressure. I wasn't sure. Yeah, now they do like knight takes better. Yeah, rook takes, move it back. I saw this, move the rook back, and then okay. So the computer says his best move is just to cycle back to h1, holding the pawn. But after about I don't think it was 10-minute think. After a decent think, I just decided to check him because I assumed he was never going to trade the queen, but maybe he was going to do something ridiculous. But moreover, I wanted to prevent him from castling. One of his better moves, if he ever could just queenside castle so that his rook is bearing down on the d-pawn, I thought that would be scary for me. So I thought it was my priority to kind of stop him from being able to do that too well. So I did that. I go bishop takes. It's not as accurate, so clearly I messed up a little bit. He plays king d2, and now he has no threat about like an active plan about bringing his rooks in. It is the best move, but yeah, I thought I was doing pretty well. I checked him again. My whole idea was I was going to reset my bishop back onto d4, just utilize the wooden shield. And this is where I was telling Zane when we grabbed a sandwich that he was telling me where he needs to improve, converting winning positions. And I was saying that I think in all my games, I have struggled to find like the kill shot where I know I'm better. Kind of a similar issue that we both have, I guess. And I know obviously I win the pawn. His king is now messed up. The pieces flying in the center, I feel like my minor pieces, well, not so much the knight on b6, but the other pieces are very, very active. And like this is, although it's a fianchettoed bishop, it's just eyeing this e4 pawn. But I chickened out. I didn't look for anything more. It looks like there isn't anything more, so I guess there's sometimes it's a good thing. And I just immediately played back to d4. Looks like it's the best move in the position. And my thinking is the bishop belongs here, right? It's a monster. I still have possible like knight checks. A lot of funky things can happen. So why don't I just reposition? I won the pawn. He can't castle, and then I can worry about my king and take it from there. Basically gobbling up the win and not getting greedy is kind of what I looked at. So yeah, I play bishop d4. He now plays rook e1. I'm pretty sure it was rook a to e1. I didn't write it down in my score sheet, but I think he's keeping his rook here. I think otherwise I would have just crashed through with my rook to pin his bishop. Yeah, and I did another mini think. Again, Zihan is up to... He's used a lot of time. He's used probably about half his time at this point. He's used almost 30 minutes, and I've used less than 20, I would say. And yeah, I was not struggling. I think that's wrong, but I wanted to find like a good move here. The computer is cold-blooded, excuse me, and they want me to take the h-pawn, but I was a little bit worried when I wasn't castled about having this kind of just hanging there for the moment. Because again, then the pressure is his rook is eyeing my rook underneath. And I thought that, it was beholden to castling from that position. So I kind of wanted to hold off taking another pawn. But the problem is, yeah, I looked at this move as well. But I didn't think jumping my knight in, I thought it would get stuck there. I saw, okay, they just want to give the exchange somehow. Okay, I thought, here, I'm going to show you what I ended up playing. I played f6, which I like. The computer, I guess, doesn't. It's an inaccuracy on the computer. Not that much of an accuracy. I'll explain why I played that. But I thought if I played knight f2, which is a reasonable move. Oops, nope. That's not what I saw. Rook hg1. I don't think that would be the right move. Let me delete that. I thought that he would, again, play rook hf1. They then say to go to knight g4. Okay. The computer wants him to just play his queen out. What am I so afraid of here? I'm just kind of curious. What am I threatening here? Ooh, doi! I'm threatening this fork anyway. That's why he has to move the queen. Okay, so he's not really attacking that, because then obviously, I'm sure you all see this. That's what and he's not really targeting my f7 pawn, because my queen is doing a great job. I thought my queen was really strong on d7, because I'm both protecting this b pawn as well as the f pawn, and I'm going to be able to go either way. And I'm protecting the d pawn. The queen's kind of big. All right, so that makes sense as far as why I got a little bit worried about getting my knight trapped there. The reason I play f6 is threefold. Okay. Number one, I didn't want to worry about any of this nonsense down in the f-file, because although my queen was pretty good as a defender, I wanted to use her as an attacker, so I wanted to alleviate the pressure there. Number two, a lot of lines where he like moves his knight. I was looking specifically at knight b5 type ideas, which I guess doesn't work here. But I didn't want my g-pawn to be a major weakness. Like, obviously then I would have to trade my wooden shield, trade. But in lines where I move my bishop out, I didn't want this to be a weakness where he could then basically get a lot of counterplay and come crashing through. Furthermore, I thought f6 is helping taking away from e5, and I had the idea of a super powerful outpost square for my knight, where if I'm able to slam it on e5, I have this strong wooden shield, and I've got a strong outpost where the knight is obviously defending g6. But more importantly, I would basically be able to switch spots with my queen, and I would actually be eyeing a lot of the weaknesses of his king, because he's kind of Swiss cheesy here. So that was my idea with f6. I don't mind the move. Computer does mind the move. All right. He then plays, after f6, he plays h4. And the move here is pretty clear. It's his best move, it looks like. He's just trying to develop the bishop. It's dead on this diagonal. But it's very active here. And obviously, if I don't do anything about it, then my knight is under attack. And if I move her there, if it's pinned, I would lose my queen. So I thought my first order of business is, taking care of that. Because I set up this outpost for my knight, I didn't think very long. I played the best move, knight e5, and it makes sense. I have my bishop. It's, it can no longer retreat, but I'm okay with that. It's doing a lot still, I think. But moreover, I've rerouted my knight. His queen is under attack, and I thought now that I have basically shored up my weaknesses, I've blockaded the e-pawn, I'm up a clear pawn, his king is in the middle of the board, now I can look to get my queen into the game. So, one piece at a time. It's like a Johnny Cash song, one piece at a time. I think that's about repairing a car, but all right. Anyway, at this point, when knight e5 has been played, I must have missed a move here, because I have here, I played knight e5 on move 20. And my opponent is now playing move 20, so clearly there was a mistake. God damn it. Am I really going to have to go through this whole game just to make sure things are right? I guess so. d4, knight f3, c4, knight c3. I'm just going down on the column. Knight h4, knight takes, e4, bishop e3, bishop takes d4, g3, bishop g2, b3, bishop e3, bishop c1, bishop b2, queen f3, king d2. Oh, okay, so it's over here. Oh, I see. Yeah, all right. Well, we're going to have to delete a few moves. Everything mostly applies. Don't worry about the commentary. But here, when I played... okay, so over here, when I played bishop takes on f2, the check, he went to d2. And I guess when I did the moves fast, I rolled back to d4. These two moves are basically the same, but I checked him first. There you go. And I did think this mattered a little bit. It's still excellent. It doesn't change the evaluation of the position at all, but it meant he moved his king to c2. And now I had some fork ideas, so that's what ends up happening. And then the rest of the moves follow the same, because now I move bishop d4. Okay, so that's why we got his king was basically one square over here, rather than on d2. Not sure which position is better for me, but I thought that there were some, maybe there's some possible knight forks. Maybe his king is better for me if it's on d2, blocking his rook. I don't know. These are the things I really don't know. But anyway, that's the discrepancy in the game. Now we played rook e1. And then I played f6. Okay. So we'll see if... so this is less good here. Now I play f6. Oh, the queen really doesn't like it here. So this is a much worse position for me. Interesting. It's not even... I'm not even up like a full pawn effectively. Huh. They want him to play e5, crashing out. I thought I was taking away e5. Like, that's the thing. Okay, interesting. So he would play e5. I would take with a knight, which is what I would do. His queen would be under attack. He would then gobble the b pawn. I would then take... I would trade queens, which would all happen. He would then take with the bishop, and then I would develop my my own rook on the half-open file, and he would then retreat the bishop to an active square. I was fine with that position. That seems okay to me. All right, well, nonetheless, we proceed. I play f6. He now plays the second best move in the position. He now plays h4. Okay, so there we go. We have now caught up after a little slip-up. Again, as noted, he is threatening bishop h3. So I very quickly play knight e5. Again, I'm attacking his queen. I've gotten off of this shenanigans because I really didn't want to deal with that, and he probably has to move his queen. He plays queen e2, which is, again, the second best move. It looks like Zihan had played decently for sure. I mean, he's a good player, but he didn't play like the most accurate moves. So that's nice for me. It's good when you don't have to grind super hard. I played the best move. I played queen g4. My idea was I'm up a clear pawn. His position's a little dicey. I thought that if he doesn't trade, I'm gonna take a pawn, so he kind of has to. And then once he trades and I take back, I'd be threatening all these forks. Again, boom, boom, things like that. So I just thought my knight was super active, and I could then, once that has been occurred, because I then shorted my weakness as far as this diagonal, I would then queenside castle. My rook would be on the d file. I would potentially double up and just play against these pawns, and it seemed like a very comfortable, simplified game for me, where my plan is very clear cut. I'm clearly better, and there's limited counterplay by my opponent. So that's kind of what I drummed up in my mind. Plus, I'm playing pretty fast. Again, he's used more than 30 minutes, and I've used about 20 minutes. So time is definitely a factor in the quick games. To my surprise, I think he just missed how strong this bishop is, kind of taking away the g file. I think he just missed it. This is the kind of question I would have liked if we had reviewed the game. But yeah, because he tries to keep the queen. He tries to keep queens on the board. Does he? No. He plays bishop at h3 here. And here, this is just an absolute blunder. And I wasn't sure what he was thinking here, because this is what I mean by, I guess he didn't, I think he just missed that my bishop was taking away g1. If I didn't have my wooden shield here, then I think taking the pawn is very dangerous, because all of a sudden, he's the one that has a lot of play. He would then move rook e to g1. He'd be targeting this weak pawn. He would try to push the pawns, split open my queen side, or is that king side? King side. But I think he just missed that this square is covered. My bishop is huge. So I looked at him kind of like really? You're just giving me the pawn? By the way, this game I end up a lot of pawns, and this was the main reason why. So I just take the pawn. I was like, I don't see any possible reason this can't be the best move. I didn't see any threat. He really should have traded queens, I think. He just gave me a free pawn. I didn't even see what the counterplay was supposed to be. I always thought that if he jumped in, I would just take. If he then trades, yes, it's a weak pawn. I'm up a pawn, but boom, I win another one. I would potentially have this c3 square. I still have different forks jumping on in. And again, now with his opened up bishop, I figured I have the idea of going, not even castling anymore, going king to f7 with the idea of bringing the other rook to the e file and kind of contesting his queen like that. So everything was kind of coming up, ruby, red, ruby, red, ruby, red. So yeah, he plays bishop h3. I think he just missed it. I take the pawn, and now he goes rook d1. And I didn't understand this move either. It just seems like a bad move. Again, when my opponents play moves I don't understand, okay, the ego in me is just like, okay, they're not as good as me. They're making bad moves. But the practical side of me, now that I've played enough, is that really I question myself about, like, what am I not seeing with this move? And I assumed he's trying to get some pressure on the D pawn. That if I'm never trading like that, but if he ends up taking or like moving, and I was actually a little bit afraid of knight b5 moves. I thought that those were very good for him, and I thought that maybe he'd be getting some strong counterplay with his bishop taking away squares, and then at some point basically coming into my position and utilizing the fact that my rook on a8 is not in the game, and at the moment h8 isn't either. But I decide to ignore it for a turn. This bishop is still huge, taking away any like rook to g1 ideas. And I just decide, fuck it, if he's going to give me another pawn, I'm going to take another pawn. It's the best move in the position. I was a little bit worried about possible like bishop sacks, but I knew that they didn't work with my queen defending my rook. But that is something that I was aware of, if he could ever chase away my queen. But if he ever could, basically my idea is if he was ever offering me, well, I mean, not there, I would just take with my knight. But if he ever offered me the queen trade at this point, I would just go trade, and then I would break the check by moving king to e7 rather than f7, because otherwise my rook would be hanging, he would check, I would take, and then he would take, and then I think white would be totally back in business, and I didn't want that. So so once I take the pawn, he now plays bishop e6, and it's a very clear threat. Like he's gonna get a wooden shield of his own. He possibly has some kind of like funny mating web, by the way, like setup. I did consider the bishop, king e7 first, but I thought that he would then, he couldn't check me right away because then I would win his bishop, but I thought that he would basically get the bishop into e5 there, and I didn't think I'd want to trade because then he gets a very, very strong active knight, and then I'd probably have to trade, he would take, and, it obviously felt good, but maybe not winning, because with a strong knight here, taking away like the e7 square for my king, I would maybe have some back rank issues, especially with my rook still kind of buried on a8. So, whatever, these are small details. I just decide to consolidate. I go rook takes. He doesn't think long, and he takes back, of course. Best move. And now I hit him with a king e7. With the same idea, I'm attacking his bishop. I'm getting my king off of this row. Because if I ever leave it there and he checks, I guess I wouldn't even lose a rook because my knight is right now defending. So I guess it wasn't even like that big of a deal. But I was a little bit worried about like some kind of infiltration, counterplay. Because like, why give him any counterplay when I'm super winning? I'm up like 3 pawns now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm up 3 pawns. I figured this won't take a lot of technique to win, But every game takes a little bit of technique to win. There's like almost no... I actually had one simple game later, but all right. He now plays bishop d5, and this was the other time I used some calculation. I spent 10 minutes in this position, so I finally got below 30 minutes on this move. Because I thought, again, if I take and then he takes with tempo and I have to like move, then he maybe takes, I take, and I don't know, I'd have some difficulty of where I'm supposed to even put this rook. So I thought the more accurate line... Okay, they're equal. This is what I mean. I spent 10 minutes deciding between these two fucking moves, and they're like completely the same. I was so proud of myself. I thought takes, he obviously has to take. He doesn't, because I was a little bit worried if he has a very bizarre move of bishop takes on b7, but I realized he didn't, because then I would take his bishop, he would then take my rook, and then I'd have this in-between move of a queen check on c3, so I can't actually win back my bishop, and then I'd win his bishop with my knight. And I thought at that point I'd be up a million material. It would be very, very simple to win. So I was also looking at these like in-between moves of like knight to b5, which I was a little bit worried of. I don't know why. I guess his jumps really aren't that potent. I thought it'd be trade. My king is kind of dangling, and I kind of have a little bit of issue about getting my rook into the game. But when I say a little bit of issues, I know I'm winning here. But, I'm just looking for, like, easy ways to convert. Yeah, so once he plays bishop to d5, I go bishop takes on c3. Looks like these two moves are completely fine. I figured, again, just getting some minor pieces off the board. If we get just like a queen endgame with, a bunch of pawns, even a lowly player, such as I'm not lowly, but you know what I mean, can, win this game pretty easily. He goes bishop takes on c3. And once that's played, I now play knight takes. Yeah, I'm just basically getting rid of all these pieces in the middle of the board. I'm playing a good knight against a not as good bishop, and everything is awesome. Everything is great. I have no worries in this position. After knight takes d5, he goes c takes d5. Again, these moves both eat. I was wondering which knight he should take. It looks like the two are basically the same, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't worried if he had this pin, just because I have like the two pawns backing it up. So I just wasn't worried. But it doesn't do that. He goes c takes on d5. Okay, cool. At this point, I'm just looking to simplify. I find one of the best moves, and I thought that this kind of forced the trade of queens. The reason why, obviously, is I'm attacking his rook. I'm attacking his queen. If he moves his queen to keep his rook on the board, I'm attacking his pawn with check. So it seemed like he had to trade queens. The computer says his best move is to trade queens, and I thought if he trades and then I take with my knight, it would be a very easy game for me, because the only issue in the position is developing this rook. I'd be able to move my king up and then finally either push these pawns to open up the rook, or just swing it to the e-file. It's on a light square. I can rally that, not too shabby, and it would be pretty clinical. So I wanted to get into that endgame. I think he made the right practical decision. I know that the computer's going to say this is the wrong move, but he keeps the queen on the board after I play queen f3. I think he's just trying to fight for his chances, if you will, and he goes queen e1. The reason why I didn't think this move was great, and I didn't do deep calculations, I just saw why he probably needed to trade, is because I have all these threats. I saw rook checks on d3, obviously supported by my knight. I saw g2 lines, basically realizing he can't come in because the knight's taken away, so I basically get him on the back rank. I saw that if I checked him there, that I have a lot of knight jumps where, his queen might be forked. I did see his bishop as kind of a strong shoulder, so my original idea was checking him. He had to move to the b1 square, I thought. Maybe the d1 square. But if he moved there, if this isn't here, then obviously I immediately swing my knight in. I'm attacking his queen with the idea of like a checkmate on b2. So that was kind of like how I thought I could just end the game in style. Once he plays that, I'm looking at all the other moves I have. Looks like the computer actually wants me to jump to g4. To go trade and then just take back. That's kind of interesting. Or d3, jump in this way. Why that? Yeah, I was a little bit... Oh, by the way, for the record, this was the move I was worried about. When he plays down there, because then he's protecting this pawn, so I can't take with check. And I thought that was the only way he's getting counterplay, like he comes into the position. Not that I was like terrified of it or that worried. I did give some strong consideration in this position to play g5 to take that away, because then he can't go here because he loses the piece. But I thought it would get a little bit hairy if he then basically takes. I guess I'd have to then take with the d pawn, and then I'm giving him this pass pawn. So I'm giving him like a chance to win, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing monsters at this point, but I was a little bit worried about pushing that pawn and doing that. So instead, I go with the queen g2 line, which the computer does like a lot. Okay, cool. So they like my plan. My thinking again is that there are a lot of moves he can make that lose him the game on the spot. The only move I really saw was b1. How come this move doesn't work? Because I did here for the record, he does go king b1. People have a way of, when the game is like kind of over, just hanging around. I'm just double checking king d1. What did I see here? Yeah, jumping my Jumping in. Let's say he goes here. Well, he can't do that because then he loses the rook. G1, and then... Oh! That's a really funny line. Yeah, because you go queen takes, he takes, and then boom, you hit him with the forker. Anyway, that would be up a rook. That's very, very simple. All right, cool. So that's why you can't go to B1. Excuse me, to D1. Yeah, I looked at some of the other forks, but over here, I wanted to play knight to D3, which is the best move, but I just didn't see, like, obviously there I'd be attacking the... Here, I'll show you what I did first. I always know that the way that chess.com does the sidelines is a little bit difficult. I guess I played a bad move here. I go B5. My thinking, for the record, is B5, B4, trying to dislodge his bishop so that this plan works. And I thought in those lines maybe pushing, and that way it just like opens up my rook. Again, maybe that way I can mate him on A2. But it's a little too slow. I thought I had all the time in the world, and I thought that again if he trades and I just take, it's kind of simple game, but I'm wrong. What I needed to play here, yeah, so I lose some of my advantage here, unfortunately. This is the move I wanted to play, for the record. Maybe this is... Maybe this is better, though. Yeah, I should have actually done this anyway. The whole time I was thinking about, you know, checkmates. But I think that this is piecemealed better. Because it kind of forces him... Let's say he goes here. I'm not actually sure my follow-up. I was a little bit worried about this. The computer says to go like rook e8, ignore this threat. Crashes down with like e5. I don't know. I would go here. My knight looks a little bit loose. Maybe there's just nothing here. Okay, they're just saying just take in the middle of the board. I don't know. I wouldn't want to... I mean, why go into this? You know what I mean? Like, I'm super winning. Anyway, b5 ain't the move, chief, but it's what I played. I thought this would end the game. He now plays rook h7. Again, he's just trying to get any kind of counterplay, any kind of infiltration. My idea is trying to bump this off so that I can play my knight in here, go for the checkmate, or play a5, a4, just opening it up, and then finally getting my last piece into the game. Looks like he missed some counterplay. He's down below 10 minutes at this point. He got time to like 10 seconds in this one. I move over king f7. They want me to play my knight down here, which seems wild. Like, you know what I mean? Like when the computer suggests moves like that, it's like, why? You know what I mean? Like, why would I possibly just give him a pawn? Why? Why would I do that? Let's see. Oh. Yeah, see, like, because that lets me finally get my rook into the game. So, like, I get it now. Like, I finally get my rook into the game. And you kind of pawn sacrifice there. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's just, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, it makes sense. All right, well, I didn't see that. I was looking to activate my rook by going this way, and I got myself into a little complication, so this is what I mean, also, like, finding the killing blow. Like, I set myself up nicely, this is super winning, but I still kind of, like, managed, like, technique-wise to kind of mess it up a little bit, you know? He plays the best move. My knight is obviously better than his bishop, so he goes bishop takes. I thought that, though, consolidating, like, it was, I obviously go d takes, pretty good for me, because his rook is a little bit out of play. These are strong pawns. He kind of has the pass pawn, but I always have this check if he ever moves his queen, with a more active queen. Yeah, he plays king g1. No. King a1. My g's and a's look alike. And I thought that was a very classy move, because now he's actually free to move his queen without this being check on his king. And I suddenly realized that maybe this game won't be so simple. Like, why can't I just put somebody away? I didn't want him to move his queen to a5 and kind of wiggle on in, because I thought if he actually got his queen around my pawns, I had real losing chances, because if he basically played there, I don't have the time to take this pawn, because then he just checks, and I don't know. I felt like I was in trouble there. So I figured I needed to stop it. I thought a5 did that because now my rook is finally in the game. It's taking away. He can't now crash through. Just for the record, if I do something else, I'm not sure what else I would do. Like, let's just pretend I play c4 here or so. If he crashes in... Oh, I see. The computer likes this. I guess there's a lot of checks to, like, infiltrate that way. The computer's even suggesting running backwards like that. I just didn't want to go into any of this nonsense. Kind of curious if this is any good. Not really. It's not bad, though, as well. Kind of giving back a pawn. All right, whatever. None of that happened. I play a5, just kind of put in the kibosh. He plays queen e3. And his idea, again, he's attacking the pawn. It makes sense. I didn't want him to come into the position. I now have all these checks. I wasn't sure if they did anything here. But I guess I should have stuck with the plan, the plan here. Stick to the plan, chums. Stick to the plan. I didn't stick to the plan. Checking it out a little bit. And I just play rook e8. Do I? Do I really play rook e8 here? No, I think I played rook c... Oh, my e's and my c's look alike. That makes a lot more sense. I played rook c8, which is still one of the best candidate moves. He's hanging around. My idea is now he can't crash through, and maybe I can just push. Again, trying to open up, because then obviously threatening checkmate, which would be nice. He plays d6, so now he's trying to get any kind of counterplay. I realize that, again, this might not be so simple, because if he lands d5, maybe I'm in trouble. And I was like, God damn it, how come all these games have to be like a little bit complicated, you know? So complicated. Anyway, I find the best continuation, finally. I play queen f1. Do I play queen f1 check? No, it says queen g. No, I obviously didn't go to g1 because that would have been under attack. Okay, so I wrote the wrong moves here. The hell? Oh. Somehow his queen's supposed to be on d3. What the hell? All right, well, I clearly wrote the moves wrong here, which is just awesome. Queen g4 on move 35. Okay, we're not there yet. So let's... Sorry, I'm having to do this a lot. It's just kind of confusing, right? King b1 when he was under check on 30. He played b5. Yep, which is a bad move. He played rook h7. He brings it to the 7th. I played king f7, which made sense. Defending the pawn, moving my king off the jam. He plays bishop takes, which is the best move. I go d takes, which makes a lot of sense, kind of locking everything down. He now plays king to a1, which is a good move, kind of getting it off the checks and whatnot. So with my queen, I respond with a5. It's the best move, trying to take this away and maybe push to activate my rook finally. He plays queen e3. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he played this move, queen e3. I wrote it down on my score sheet. So then rook c8. Pretty sure I played that. Makes sense. All right, so how come these moves are not working? Okay, because here, when I play rook c8, now he plays d6, which I wrote down. He's pushing his pawn. I remember being kind of worried about this. I go queen g4. Oh, okay, that's why. I didn't check him. Okay, phew. I was so confused, guys. I'm like, what the hell? How did my queen there? I was looking at these checks first, and I didn't think that they did anything as far as bringing it over this way. But I thought kind of passively moving my queen here, it stops him from pushing. I can reroute, and then I thought in this line, finally, I can just force queens off and I can win. So that's what I saw with queen g4, which is a mistake, apparently. All right. He's supposed to just move his rook back to h1. Okay. Very well. All right. Well, at least we got the moves right, and now he plays queen to d3. And now when he's doing this, he's trying to push, but now I say, aha, I find a way to simplify. And now I go with the line of queen to g1 check, because I see The triangle, you check, he has to go there, I go here, and we force queens off, and then it's a very, very elementary win. And at this point, he's down very low on time. He's down to like 3 minutes, and he played this, and I breathed a sigh of relief because I knew now I'm 100% winning this game. I will never fuck up this game. You know, finally, after kind of a little bit of hairiness in the late middle game as far as converting, you know, I got his ass because I now go queen to d4 check. And yeah, there's not a whole lot he can do. Oh, good, the computer gives us a great move. It forces queens off. His rook is out of play. I can very easily rally this pawn. A million pawns, it's a very, very easy win. He centralizes his king. And I looked at him at this position because he kind of shook his head when the queens finally came off. And he's like, you know, it's high 1700s. Like, bro, you are down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 7 pawns. He's got 1, 2, 3. This one's going to fall. He's down a million pawns. There's no queens on the board. Give me a break. Like, you know, please don't make me work this hard. Please, please don't make me do it. Anyway, I relish the opportunity to trade queens. He obviously takes back. And I played a very, very simple move, assuming, by the way, that this would lead to him resigning, because I'm going to win another pawn. I got the majorities everywhere, and it's just basically for choice, however I want to basically finish the game. Some reason, he plays on. And I think to myself, like, God damn it, you know, sometimes it's okay to just give up the game. Like, give me a motherfucking break. He plays rook to h1. It's -6.5. Like, again, it's just a matter of time. I go, obviously, take the pawn, rook d6. And for the record, we play another, like, 15 moves before I finally get him. I'll show you them all. Let's see how long this video has been. It's been an hour. I'm going to combine the second and third games because the third game is very, very quick. So I'm going to do that for this fall foliage tournament. Anyway, I'm going to bang these out pretty quickly because, again, not a lot of thought here. Again, my technique was not tip-top. Also, he stopped recording for a while ago. I think I recorded the moves incorrectly, but I'm going to still do my thing. I play rook d4, which is a good move. My idea is wetting him down. I want to consolidate the pawns, and then I just basically push these pawns. I figured if you ever basically move to the c-file, I would just continue, you know, consolidating. I assumed I could even give up a pawn, just like dump all these pawns, get my king in, and it was a very, very, very trivial win. And for the record, it is a very trivial win. He does in fact do that. He plays rook c1. That causes me to go c4. And I just think, you know, pieces are going to come flying. Pieces are going to come flying. He takes B, takes on c4. Just double check my phone. I thought I heard a vibration. I didn't know what was better. Like, the two are equal. I didn't want to spend a lot of time. He's low on time. I thought about it for like a minute. And I thought if I go here, he might go there, and then I'd have to go here. I don't know, or maybe I'd go here. I just thought actually B takes was stronger. Again, they're literally 6.88, both of them, so it doesn't really matter. But the reason I did this, for the record, everybody, his king is cut off. His rook has to be tied down to my c pawn, and then I can just push these pawns, and it's a very simple win. I was trying to find just simple ideas, simple win. You know what I mean? He plays rook c2. Didn't understand this one. And now I just go with the f5 idea. It's one of the best moves, just to try to basically get rid of his pawns, and then just with the clear pawns, just push them to win. Push to win. He goes e takes. I'm very, very glad to go g takes, because now my idea is I'm just going to push all these pawns, I'm going to queen, and I'm going to hope that he resigns so we don't have to play it out. My man continues playing. He goes here. I think these moves are not right, but we'll see. Play f4, check. Again, just trying to get him rolling. I figured if I could push this pawn, or if I can get my rook behind, it should be very, 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 very simple. Did I? Like, I wrote down king f6, but that's not possible. It must be here. It must have been king f3 instead of king f6. So this is where my, and now I'm writing bishop. Okay, what the fuck? Yeah, this is where my, I stopped writing moves correctly, I think. I wrote down rook b6 check, which is simply not possible. And I wrote that as black. So I'm not really sure what happened here. Gosh, I don't know. You know what? Okay, I think this is why. I think because I played king e6, which I didn't write down, that allows this check. Okay, that makes some sense. So I just stopped writing all the moves down, kind of out of force of habit, maybe, I guess? I don't know. Because he's, like, trying to blitz. He's down to, like, almost the... And by the way, this was an increment game. This was a push. So, like, he was down to, like, 10 seconds. He had to make every single move in 5 seconds, and he's totally lost. Like, he could have just, like, given me a break. He could have just stopped. Okay, now I play king f5. So I definitely messed up, because I wrote that as white king f5. So this makes a lot of sense. And I go here with the idea, once again, I'm just going to push these pawns, just rim, rattle, and roll. I don't care about this one. It's very, very simple. Blah, 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 blah. He now plays... What I wrote down? c3. I must have played c3. So what the hell did he do? He takes an a5 here. So maybe he goes like that. Rook a6. Again, I didn't even write this down. Just actually kind of curious. Which one's better? It doesn't matter. All right, let's just assume he did something like that. Now I play, let's see, rook a6. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think I just play c3 here. Yeah, here I play c3. I thought because if he... Why did this not work? I don't know. I thought that there was basically... oh, these hairs. I thought I was just queening. Anyway, he takes the pawn. Rook takes on a5. I use this opportunity to put my rook on c4 behind my pawn, thinking I'm just going to shovel it down. I'm waiting for the resignment at any point. He doesn't do it. He plays rook a7. I'm fine giving up this pawn. I say, whatever, dude. I go c2. He takes on... Does he take? Rook takes on g7. Yeah, he takes on g7. I then make a queen. c1 equals queen. And I look at him like, dude, do you really want to play this out? Like, really? And he's like, yes. I said, okay. He plays a4. And I find the win. I find the win! I actually don't checkmate him in 1, but just for ease of access, because I checkmate him on... No, on move 53. Or he resigned on move 53. So if I'm, we'll just say I checkmated him like that. All right, cool. And that was game 1. So I started off with a banger. This guy is technically so far in FIDE-wise the highest rated player that I've beaten, which felt great. Also, I got an uncomfortable position from the start, slightly, where I was a little bit unsure of what I'm doing. And it kind of worked out for me. All right, let's save this under my, let's see, create new collection, fall, foliage, Oct 18th. Isn't foliage a word? Did I misspell it? Is it foliage like that? All right, whatever. All right, fall foliage, boom. Let's just very quickly do a game review, see how, actually, look at this. Fill in his rating, 1742. Boom. Now let's, I guess it's already saved. Oh well, it's up there. Let's do the game review. And, yeah, hard to argue with this one. My opponent didn't play great, to be honest. 84% by me. Solid. Not great, but solid. The opening was still 95%, mid-game 81. Mostly my opponent played fine. The opening kind of, made a few significant errors, and I seemed to capitalize on them. Looks like I made a couple of mistakes and inaccuracies, but nothing major. I avoided any blunders. I think what I've been saying is anytime I have an 85% accuracy game or better, I feel pretty happy. This one I didn't, but I still got the win, so I can't be too critical of myself. All right, that was round 1. We'll stop here, and I'm going to very quickly bang out the next 2. The game through is very, very short, so I'm going to combine 2 and 3. All right, thanks, y'all.